let's talk about the cons. I guess I'll start with the. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about the one con that Russell has. I know what he's going to say, but there was this one scene where Han and them are taken hostage from the Millennium Falcon, and I don't want to say hostage, but I guess there's these salvages, the Guavian enforcers, these
the space pirates.
Space pirates, yeah.
Smugglers.
Yeah. Smugglers, yeah, that's what. And I feel like that scene was not really necessary. It really didn't. It didn't really enhance the movie. So if that scene was not in the movie, it would have not made it. It would have made it better or worse. I just feel like that's the one scene that didn't need to be in the movie. I guess they only did it just to show Han kind of his ways that he says, "Oh, yeah. I only owed you one time," but they was like, "No, we owed you twice." I guess another thing is with the movie. One thing I've realized in these movies, when I watched the prequels and then the original trilogy recently, I don't know if there's like supposed to be subtitles or whatever, but the only subtitles were in the movie was during that scene. You have all these aliens talking, or even like R2-D2 talking, or the droids, and they don't have any, like, you would think they're like talking, and you think they'd have subtitle dialect, but a lot of times you could kind of understand what's going on. But I feel like there should have been more in certain aspects of the movie, except for that one scene which really wasn't necessary. So that's my only gripes about the movie. So what about you, Tyler?
I didn't have any. I loved it. I really saw nothing bad at all.
You, Robin? I think it was the first time around watching it. When it first started, it just seemed kind of slow, and I was like, with you guys, I'm like, I have to sit through the slow start again, but this time the slow start really wasn't a slow start for me. It was good.
Yeah.
And me, well, I have a few. One is, I thought Princess Leia, I thought she should have been given more to do. I mean, what she did do was really good. I mean, the scene, okay, well, spoilers, of course. When Han dies, her reaction, she felt in the Force, of course. But I was, ever since seeing Return of the Jedi, I was like, when we find out that Leia is Luke's sister, and the Force is strong with her, I was like, I was waiting to see, a scene of her using the Force,
Okay.
some kind of something in there, she felt that was about it, but hopefully we'll see a little bit more in the next ones. And speaking of the Force and stuff, like, we didn't get to see, since Han died and then Luke shows up at the end, we don't get to see Luke and Han seen together, so that was disappointing. Like, Han saying, how we doing, kid? Same as usual. That bad, eh?
Yeah.
Something like that, And
that's 2 you owe me. That's 3 you owe me.
Something like, I would have loved to have seen that, and too bad we didn't get to see that.
Yeah.
And I thought, and I liked most of the new characters. I thought Poe was underused. I thought he just kind of moved the plot along. I really didn't see. I mean, you guys say he's your favorite character. I'm like, I really don't see it.
I'll agree with you on Poe, because he was underutilized. I would have liked to have seen him, because for some reason he sticks out to me.
Yeah, that's why I liked him. Is like when I told you what I thought of him as like my favorite character. To me, out of all the new cast, he stuck out the most. I mean, I do agree that Daisy Ridley did a great job as Rey.
Oh yeah,
as well. Those two to me were the two stick out characters. I mean, Finn was good, but for me, Poe Dameron was right like I said in the beginning when everything was going on. He's BB-8, get out of here, take this as far as you can, It's just like you could feel him in the scene, you see what I'm saying? His presence was in that scene, and I just thought he did a great job.
That's probably the actor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. His presence was great and I think I was more in touch with him out of all the new characters, because for me it was the old characters, that's where I was.
Oh yeah.
But
I liked all the characters, but Finn I felt was good. But at that very end, I think I told you this before, where he's like, oh, I can bring down the shield or whatever of Star Killer base or whatever, and he gets down there, and then he was, oh, I was just in sanitation. I'm like, you're putting this whole team in jeopardy by lying and saying that you, oh, I can bring down this shield, no problem. You know, so that just made me. And he lied earlier before. He's like, "Oh, I'm in with the resistance," and I'm like, "This guy's nothing but a liar." But, you know, there's just some aspects of his character I didn't like. So I'm sorry.
Oh, and they underutilized Captain Phasma too. They made her out to be this badass.
Yeah, they really didn't show her much, really.
No.
My one little, and I didn't have really much of a gripe of anything, but the only thing I could really see. For me, it was a little downfall. Was the weapon that the First Order had?
Yeah.
It was, you know, a lot of people go, "Oh, this movie was just like Episode 4, New Hope." I mean, a lot of people have said that, and I can see the comparisons. And a lot of it is because of the weapon that the First Order had. It was very Death Star-like, but instead of it being a space station, it was a whole planet. I think that they could have done a different weapon.
Yeah.
I think they could have done a better job as far as that goes. I mean, that's probably my
please,
only...
no more Death Stars.
Yeah, no
please.
more.
No more.
I mean, we've seen this happen in other movies. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Superman had, you know,
Yeah.
the same enemy
Man of
before.
Steel.
Man of Steel. And then Khan in the Star Trek series. And,
Okay.
you know, I'm
Same thing
saying
over and
they're
over
just
again.
doing the same thing over and over. And that they could improve on. I mean, obviously now, in Episode 8, there's going to have to be something different,
Please.
which is good. Other than that, I really don't have any other gripes. I mean, I agree with you. I wish there would have been a scene with Luke and Han, because they were so good together in the other ones. You know, that was a little disappointing for me as well.
Luke and Leia,
Yeah, or you know, or even Luke and Leia for that matter. I mean, obviously we'll see that in Episode 8, hopefully.
yeah.
But,
There's gonna be flashbacks.
yeah.
but we'll see what happens.
That's the only gripe I really have is just the weapon. I wish they could have come up with something a little bit different, but other than that, it was a fantastic movie.
Okay, well, in terms of my gripe, I'd rather not just discuss that one thing, but something else, and let me explain. First of all, my only gripe was General Hux. My God, was he over the top. In fact, during his threatening speech, I couldn't stop laughing because it was so corny and over the top. Maybe that's how his character's supposed to be, but oh my God, I couldn't stop laughing. It was so corny. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is not gripes I have, but many of the criticisms that I've heard about and why I, to an extent, disagree with them. For example, my cousin's husband, who by the way is not only an amateur filmmaker, but he also has executive produced a lot of shows on TV, he posted this thing on Facebook about 40 plot holes that the movie had. My problem with these lists is that essentially, first of all, my question is this. Did you guys bring up every single plot hole that's in A New Hope or any of the other movies? No, you didn't. And why? Because you watched them when you were 8 years old and you look at them through the eyes of a child. You're not going to think to yourself, how does Luke know exactly how to pilot an X-Wing and fire the exact shot that hits the Death Star? You're not going to think that because you're a kid, you're mesmerized by what you see. So I'm not going to be looking at Finn going, how exactly does he know how to manage a lightsaber and do so well against Kylo Ren? I'm just enjoying the moment of him using a lightsaber. Maybe they'll explain that in a later movie. These things don't bother me because, to me, they're kind of minor nitpicks, and a lot of stuff will probably get explained in the next movies. A lot of people said, oh no, J.J. Abrams isn't going to explain it. And you know this how? I think a lot will get explained. A lot, as even Robin says, they started new questions that have to be answered. And yes, they did take many elements from the previous trilogy. In fact, even J.J. Abrams went on record saying, yes, I know I did it was to bring in the fans, but trust me, more good stuff is coming. If you don't like what I did, that's fine, but I'm letting you know why I did it. And I have to give him a lot of credit for that. He directly admits what he did and why he did it. And I think he did a lot to please the vintage fans. If they weren't pleased, so be it. But I'll tell you this much. For those who insist that it's basically a reboot of Episode 4, I disagree. But if you really want to go there and absolutely insist that it's a reboot of A New Hope, then I'll say, or we could also say it's A New Hope done right, the way it should have been originally.
I want to throw out is the marketing when all the figures were coming out before the movie. Who they focused on? They focused on Finn.
Right.
So marketing really kept the story kind of hush hush. Now we know.
I think they were
This is great.
well done. I mean, it was
Yeah.
kind of like they used Finn as like a red herring, but I kind of like the way they did that.
They learned their lessons from when they marketed the prequels. I give them that big time.
Alright, so final grade.
Yeah.
Do we really have to kind of go? Because I think we
I
all
think
kind
we'll
of...
agree it's an A+.
Yes.
Yeah.
A+ all the way around?
A+.
Yep.
The Force is strong with this one.
I just want to say this too. And one thing that I love that J.J. Abrams did is he used practical effects, not so much CG. And we've all been saying
Yeah,
this.
because
a lot of these movies,
BB-8 is a real droid.
Yep.
R2-D2.
And a lot of the characters were practical effects.
Yeah.
Simon Pegg's character was a costume. I mean, and it just goes to show you that CG isn't always everything in a movie.
Yep.
At least some more for imagination to make a movie good.
It's funny you should mention that, because I just want to add as well, Plinkett, there's a guy named Plinkett, he does these reviews on Red Letter Media, he does about the Star Wars prequels, and one thing he said he didn't like was basically how pretty much Lucas was just throwing out lightsabers every 5 seconds, kind of diminishing them. One thing I loved about this movie was he went back to making the use of lightsabers special again. Mm-hmm. That's one thing you enjoyed about the vintage trilogy, and that was another reason that I didn't care about, micromanaging, oh, how does Finn know how to do this? Just when I saw him pull out the lightsaber, and this sounded like, there we go, yeah.
And, another good part in the movie that was special for me is when she discovers the lightsaber. And it talks to her.
True. Yeah.
That was a good, powerful scene for
and
me.
then when she uses the lightsaber against Kyle, she's a badass.
She's awesome all over him. And in that scene where she touches it, you hear old Obi-Wan Kenobi and Alec Guinness and
Yoda.
Ewan McGregor's character is Obi-Wan Kenobi. You hear Yoda, and they're all saying, "This is the first step into a larger world." You hear it. You have to hear it. It's very faint, but it's there. And J.J. Abrams again took his magic. Yeah, it gave me shivers when I heard it. I mean, he took Alec Guinness's voice from episode 4 and shortened it to say Rey, her name. Mm-hmm. He actually said
the first one you hear.
Yeah,
I'm going to say one thing, and this has been said in every Star Wars movie. I have a bad feeling about this.
Yep.
It's been said in every single movie. Han Solo said in this one. Actually, it's actually kind of interesting how Han Solo said, because as his character dies, it was actually probably very symbolic for him saying that line.
True.
Because I think C-3PO might have said it before. Maybe.
Yeah, he said it a couple times. And another good thing about this movie, and I hope you guys all agree, I'm not sure if you will, the Han and Chewie stuff was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
Their interaction was like they never lost it.
True.
And I love the
when
comedy
Chewie just
between them.
blasted Kylo Ren
Yeah.
after
that was
Han fell
fantastic.
down.
I felt the pain. I mean, I was sitting there, I was like,
That's crazy.
and I couldn't help it. And Tony was right next to me. I seen it 3 times, and I cried every time.
I didn't cry. I just
I did.
I teared up.
I
I
kind
teared
of
up,
had a
man.
feeling that he was gonna die because people had rumored that he was gonna die, but but it was still a very powerful scene.
Oh God, it got me
It
every
scared
time.
me.
I mean,
And who makes these Death Stars? Where's all the railing? People don't know People don't make railing on these Death Stars, do they? They don't know what railing is.
they can't afford the railing.
Yeah, they can afford to make this big.
Maybe Kylo Ren destroyed it in one of those tantrums.
Another thing you have to consider, so then who's more incompetent? The First Order or the Republic, who, by the way, are basically depending on one guy to run the entire thing, and when he vanishes, oh, we're screwed again!
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
They're on his arcade stud.
Tony Beers.
Jason Case.
Russ,
Jay.
Tyler Volts.
see you next
See you
time.
next time.
May
May
the
the Force be with you.
Always.
Toxic Pop has a new Facebook page. Like it to see pictures and keep informed about our upcoming events and videos. A link is in the description. Go to www.facebook.com/toxicpop1.